What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the HTM buddy build of the USS Reliant. I'm Jordan with Reliant the Stars.
And I'm Ken with Ken's Hobby Bench.
And today, I guess, well, we'll talk a little bit about what we've done, what we're going to do, and a bit of a special announcement just because the person who is kind of inspiring this build continues to inspire this build. so, Ken, I guess to kind of recap what you got done last week before we start talking about all that, what did you get done last week?
For me, mostly was the big thing for me was the roll bar here. I trenched out my um, uh, uh, arms here, I guess, for lack of a
Mm-hmm.
better word,
Yep.
to so I can run my wires in here. I replaced the I put these little vent pieces in here, I guess you would call them. So I got
Yeah.
those in, and got the whole thing light blocked and ready for getting some lights in. And then
Fantastic.
I also put a little bit of photo etch on my bridge. So that's kind of what I
Excellent.
got done. How about you?
Well, for me, so it's a tale of two nacelles, so to say. There's a nacelle sitting and drying right now. It's got the light blocking primer on the inside of the nacelles. What I did basically was kind of limited in what we're going to be talking about here in the coming up a little bit for the kind of special announcement we're talking about. And it's not really I don't know if it's really an awesome special announcement, but it is an announcement. But it kind of got me thinking. There's a lot more detail to this build, and so I didn't get much done from the sense of like big progress being done. I did get my LEDs burned in. What initially was going to be for my running lights, but in talking with everybody on the HTM stream um, yesterday on the Sunday stream, they're like, if you use 0402s, it will look a little bit better. And so I was like, yeah, you're kind of right. And so what I got done this week for this nacelle and the other is I went ahead and drilled out this hole for the little red crystal that sits on top. It's either red or blue. I've seen it in both ways, so I'm kind of curious. Um, Got that drilled out. I got the nav beacon light at the back drilled out as well. That's where the 0402 is going to wind up fitting in place. And then I also drilled out these two holes. This one did not turn out so well. But the other side did really well. I need to putty these in and reapproach it. But these are a couple of the spotlights that actually spotlight onto the saucer on the bottom half of the saucer. So got those done. And that's pretty much well it. So once again, kind of not a lot done, but there's a lot to think about for the coming up part of this build. And so I guess before we talk about what we're going to be doing next, because this directly influences it, Ken, tell us a little bit about the special announcement that we're going to be talking about.
Okay, so because of Will at the ensign's chair, he's come up with some more excellent modifications for this kit to accurize it, to a greater degree. So we're kind of thinking because he's still coming out with stuff, and we're catching up to where he's at, and
Yeah,
and the way it is, we're actually looking to surpass him, and you know, uh,
which is crazy.
probably, yeah, it is. It is kind of crazy. I mean, I'm retired, and I'm kind of forcing Jordan to go around, faster. But I mean, Will's working hard too, and he doesn't necessarily have the time to, um, work on this kit, you know, all the time. But he did come out on his latest video here, just I believe on the weekend, with some new modifications, and I'm going to show you what they are. So he apologized to us on camera because we put in these shuttle bay door areas that he had designed, but he's now redesigned them again because when you look closely at the model, um, there is actually a piece of machinery right here by this light. So he is, yeah, so he's redone the whole bay, And he said he is going to try and do an extra piece to add on that maybe that might work as well. So hopefully, if not, we could always just put some sort of styrene piece if we wanted to go for that detail. Another one he's done is he's actually done a resin replacement for this grill here that we did in photo etch. So he's got that as an option. He says it's easier to put in place than the photo etch. I wouldn't bother switching over myself. I would just leave my photo etch in place because I don't see anything wrong with it. It looks good.
Same.
And then further on the back here, the impulse engine housing, he's replaced that because this one here is actually too small. So,
wow.
And the detail is incorrect. So this detail is actually backwards, and then there should be a little bit more detail here, and then down here in the cheeks, and then of course increased size. So he's done that now as a resin piece, which has a clear insert that you can insert with 2 spots for the red LEDs on either side, and then a third spot for an orange one in the middle to kind of give it a nice
balance of the color.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he's done
cool.
that as well.
All as one light box, huh? One big light box.
Yep.
Oh wow, like
And
it.
then the grills over the impulse engines he's done in resin as well to go in there, but it will also work with the paragraphic set for the grills that they have. So you could use either or. So that's kind of what he's done on the back. So looks really good.
Awesome.
Now, on the bottom of the ship, he has completely replaced this piece here. There was a viewer, I think, who had notified Will that this is incorrect, and I believe
all 3 of us, right?
Yep. And so what it is here, this piece here shouldn't be curving with the shape of the hull, like it is. Like it shouldn't have that. It should be more.
It shouldn't be
straight.
concave.
Yeah, shouldn't be concave. It should be straight. So he's got a replacement piece for that, which includes some vents on the front here, which go in there.
Cool.
And then he's also got replacements for these 2 areas here and here. So, yeah, he's done a lot of work.
More mods. Oh man, love it. Yeah, he's doing a lot of. There's not much of this model that's going to be stock.
No, for sure. Another mod we haven't got yet, but I'm gonna talk to Cass over at Lake Monster Details, who's making all these great parts that Will's designing. We're talking about the replacement fins, which are 2-piece. So it'd be a resin fin that replaces this, but in this corner here, it would be cut out with a clear piece that goes in instead, and it's tunneled out for light. So you have holes, so you'd have your light here in this corner here, and on the back here for your RCS thrusters.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
So we'll ask about that. I think we mentioned in a previous video as well. He had just done a piece that was missing from the inside of the super phaser that replaces this side. Yeah, this side. So we have on this super phaser here, right here, we have these 2 bumps, which are mini phasers, I guess, by the looks of it, Will was saying, and they do kind of look like it. He's given us resin replacements for it, but on the other side, wrapped around to the inside, there's some other shaped piece that's missing. So he's also designed that. So which should just be a paste-on piece in comparison. Nice. So those were the best ones. So yeah, those are kind of the things we're looking at right now. So which is kind of causing us to have to slow down, really.
Yeah. Well, I guess on that front, then the announcement is that we are going to be slowing down. We're not going to still going to be releasing episodes every single week, but the content is going to be probably, at least from what I can suspect, at least half of this conversation that you and I are having, and then probably the other half of a very small portion of the build while we're waiting for the stuff to arrive. So shorter episodes on the build going forward, as we've pretty much all caught up with Will. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much all the gist of what we're looking at right now.
Yes, shorter or just more um, intense on a single subject.
Right, exactly. I'll
So
probably spend a couple of, like, I mean, I'll probably have like 3 episodes just on the nacelles, probably a couple episodes on the roll bar itself, just like getting that done. Because as soon as this portion of the nacelle is done, at least for me, this coming up week. So I guess that kind of leads into what we're going to be doing this week. So did we already talk about that? What we're going to be doing this week?
uh,
I don't know.
no,
Did I?
no, we
No.
didn't.
So I guess on that front, for at least for me, I'm going to be taking care of the rest of the light blocking and getting my chiller grills masked off and getting them painted out, getting all that ready to go, and then kind of like taking a bit of a pause and taking a look and maybe moving on a little bit to the roll bar, but just kind of taking a pause and figuring out exactly what needs to be done from a lighting perspective, getting some soldering done, and continuing to work on like getting putty work done because I've gotten I got the saucer all extra putty work all done on the saucer, and I've started working around the outside here. So getting all the stuff tidied up. I think the slowdown is probably not going to be the worst thing in the world for us right now. So that's what I got going on. What are you going to be doing this week?
Well, I got my main goal accomplished last week of getting a lot of the side and the back of my head filmed. I was really, I knew I needed to do that, so I got that done, and you can see
Yep.
some of it in the video from last week. My
Yeah.
apologies.
Yep.
So yeah, no,
Check that box for sure.
um, no, but so I've changed my camera angle. But on a serious note, yeah, I'm going to be just working on my roll bar assembly here. I probably won't be working on the sides of it yet. I'm just going to mostly work on the photon torpedo area, get my photons put in, get my flasher light put in, and yeah, go from there. I think that's going to be
Okay.
my episode, and then probably the week after that will probably be when I start moving towards the nacelles as well.
It's funny is like we going in opposite directions but getting the same amount of work done. I love it.
Yep.
Love it, love it, love it. Awesome, man. Well, that's going to be a good start for this week. And appreciate all you guys for the understanding in advance as we wait for parts to arrive as this build continues to get a little bit more complicated. But I think complicated is not necessarily the word. Accurate and taking the time and care to make sure that even this 537 kit, which is like we're all waiting for the 350, right? We're all waiting for the 350 Reliant.
Oh, we
So
are.
while we wait for that 350 Reliant, which we hope has this much detail, the endeavor here to create the most movie accurate 537 Reliance out there. Like if the three of us, me, you, and Will, have these and we can inspire other people to build them, the more the merrier, I think. So
Oh, exactly. I think that's our goal.
exactly. Exactly. All right, my friend. Well, do you got anything else for us before we head off for our builds this week?
No, I think that's it. I just want to say, uh, everybody, if you're feeling like you are struggling and you need to talk to someone, do so. Reach out and talk to someone. We had
Yep.
someone um, that was part of our group that has been reaching out, and I just think it's important that people do that.
Indeed. Indeed. All right, my friend. Well, good luck with your build this week, and we'll definitely catch up same bat time next week.
All right, sounds good.
All
Take
right, buddy.
care.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Line of the Stars. I'm Jordan, and after some technical difficulties last week, we're finally back with another episode of the Reliant. Now, what has happened? Basically, what happened last week is the footage that I took of the modifications to the other nacelle was lost. I'm not quite sure exactly what happened to it. I tried to upload it to YouTube, and for whatever reason, it just stopped. It wouldn't take the video. I tried to re-upload and re-edit the video, and nothing really happened with it. And so, in the spirit of just kind of moving on and getting things done, we're going to go ahead and get the work done and move a little bit further beyond where I got last week. And as we mentioned here at the beginning of the episode, we're going to be taking a little bit of a shorter format for the next couple weeks as we're going to be waiting for parts to arrive from Lake Monster Details. And so while we're waiting for that, I'm going to do just a little bit of work today, show you a little bit of the modification that we did on the other side. I think that was going to be, so this is going to be the port side, and then I have already worked on the starboard side nacelle. So what that is currently doing is sitting with primer on it, waiting for it to dry. So otherwise, we have our nacelle that we got our chiller grills put and placed on, along with our intercoolers. And what we need to do is we need to go through basically and finish a couple of the modifications to the top of the saucer, or not the saucer, but the nacelle here. In looking at footage from the Wrath of Khan and then other imagery from the Miranda class, you can actually see a little bit of a crystal. Now, during this era of Star Trek, I do find it very interesting that they use a lot of crystals. I'm not quite sure what that thought process was all about, but there is a red crystal that sits right up top up here. And then, so we're going to need to drill out this little raised detail right there. So you can see that there's it implies that it's supposed to be there, of course, but, in looking at it, it just kind of looks like a raised surface detail. And so we're going to go ahead and drill that out. This is exactly 5 millimeters, and we're going to be using a 5 millimeter LED for that. And then what we need to do today, finally, before the end of the episode, is going to go ahead and get there's going to be one of our formation lights back here at the very back that we're going to go ahead and get drilled out as well. So beyond that, what's going to happen in between episodes and what's already happened to the other nacelle is I've gone through and I've dropped a bead of putty along the outside of the chiller grills and along each one of the intercoolers here, and let that cure up. And so we're going to do that today, and then I'm going to go ahead and get it over into the paint booth. And then what's happened over there is basically we're going to take our flat black primer and go ahead and light block the inside of the nacelles. And so that's going to be the main plan. For going forward, like I said, I'm going to try to keep it simple. Keep the episodes rolling, maybe a little bit more focused and detailed on the work. But the thing that we didn't cover and what we guys didn't get to see in last week's episode was all of the LED work. Now, what I've done is gone through and I have done the LEDs, and we'll kind of cover all of this, as we get to each part of this, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But what I've done is I've taken 2 of the bright white SMDs. These are 0603s. And then I went ahead and just took a piece of 1 millimeter fiber optic and went ahead and solar resed it to the front of that. And then each one of these are going to be our nav lights in the very back. So it's going to be a 1 millimeter hole that we're drilling back here for this. And these are 1 millimeter LEDs. So that's what those are. Up here, and what we're going to be doing today, the first modification we're going to be doing in today's episode is I have 2 sets of these. And these are the warm white LEDs, and these are actually spotlights that sit on the inside of the chiller grill. So when you have the chiller grill, or not the nacelles, but right in front of the chiller grill, so right up here, up in this area, so we'll talk about that here in this next segment, that's where we're going to start, there are 2 little spotlights that kind of fit in here, and so that's what these are going to be for. And then, as I mentioned before, for the crystals, I have 2 red LEDs. And these ones are all ready to go. And what I did is these lights, the crystals on top of the nacelles are very, so a lot of my stuff's probably touching here, are very dim. And I wanted to go ahead and dim these LEDs down as much as I possibly could. So where I figured it was the lowest I can go, I used a 5K resistor and went ahead and dropped the voltage all the way down as far as it possibly could before it stopped actually lighting up. Burnt out a couple of LEDs in the testing as well. So, but there's a 5K resistor at the end of this 5 millimeter LED. And what we're going to be doing is going to be just slightly putting it up and through just a tiny little bit. So it just kind of matches the length up over the top from over on the side there. So yeah, that's where it's going to kind of basically what I did was just take care of some light blocking, some puttying, and then getting all of my LEDs wired up. And so that's kind of what we missed in the last episode. So let's go ahead and finish up the job, and we're going to go ahead and start by well, let's go ahead and get our spotlights installed, shall we? Okay, so for the spotlights, they are going to be installed right here, directly above this line in front of the intercoolers. Now, what I found is that using my calipers here, that this piece, this length, and in kind of watching and looking and all of that, this piece is 24 millimeters long. What I'd like to do in order to get these evenly spaced is I'm going to go ahead and make a mark at 8 millimeters in from each side. So 8 millimeters in here, 8 millimeters in here, and then we're going to go up about a millimeter or two up on the surface, and then I'm going to go ahead and draw my 2 points. And so let's go ahead and take a look at that. So we're going to go exactly 8. So 8 millimeters. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of leave this sitting on the table here. Match it up. And at about the point where I'd like for it to be. And go ahead and make a mark. Right there. And then doing the same thing on the other side. 8 millimeters in. Line up that mark. Draw a dot. So I have 2 dots at 8 millimeters each in. And in theory, there should be 8 millimeters sitting in between. So that works out really well. What I'm going to use is I have my tri-tool here. And it's a nice flexible straight edge. What I'm going to do is take the rear one, as I like that spacing there. I'm going to go ahead and line this up so they match up a little bit better. There we go. Top edge of that. Beautiful thing about using a pencil is I can kind of see the old line. What I can do is line up that top edge just like so. So there are my 2 holes, or my 2 marking points for my holes. Now, what I have in my pin vise is I have my 1 millimeter drill bit, and I'm just going to go ahead and run down straight in at an angle. So we're going to be kind of coming in slightly at this angle, not like severe, but slightly. I'm just going to go ahead and drill in. Okay. And then same thing back here. And there we go. 2 holes put in place. Although it does look like they got a little bit mismatched. And so, I try to fix that, but try to avoid that, but here we are. So what I'm going to do, it's funny, is the same thing happened on the other side. What I'm going to do is in between episodes, I will show you guys the result of that, but I'm going to go ahead and take some UV resin, go ahead and put this back over the top, goodness me, and then go ahead and redo that. But for the sake of, here are the 2 fiber optics. Huh? Run up and through. To create the spotlight effect. So I will correct that in between episodes, obviously, and the camera's blowing it out. But There are the two spotlights that set up above that, and we're not going to see as much light bleed through there as well, because a lot of the light blocking is going to be happening as well. So that's what that looks like. And of course, during the demonstration, I kind of got it wrong, just like I did on the other side. It is what it is. All right, let's go ahead and drill out the top crystal and show you how we go ahead and take care of that, which may involve the use of some power tools. All right, so what I've done is I just went ahead and took some tape and went ahead and wrapped up the nacelles. And what I'm going to do is I have a 4.8 millimeter drill bit here. And let's see, I'm not sure if it's going to fit in my pin vise. I think it's just a little bit too big. Yep. So we're going to use some power tools, which is always fun, especially when making models. So got my power drill here, ready to go. Now what I'm going to do, almost forgot the most important part here. So what I've done on the other side is I went ahead and took my single bladed nippers and took down a lot of the ridged portion of this, the raised detail. Okay. And I'm actually going to grab my double bladed nippers, my nicer ones here. There we go. So, once again, just took off the surface detail on that. Now, what I'm going to do, very carefully, is drill. Baby drill. And just like so. Now, taking the drill, and I'm just going to kind of work back and forth a little bit here. And there is our, so much faster than what I did on the other side. My goodness me. I took a smaller drill bit that fit inside the pin vise and then I just did that. Yep, that fits in there perfectly. Beautiful. Love it. So, that went out exactly 4 millimeters, or excuse me, 5 millimeters, and didn't damage anything, which was the one thing I was really worried about. And so, if we were to install the LED, I'll grab my pair of tweezers for this. Go ahead and bend here at the top. So if we install the LED, how it's going to be installed, and I'm going to go ahead and sand this and buff and bring it down a little bit. But there is the crystal that sits on top of the nacelle. Excellent. Yeah, it turned out pretty good. Very pleased with how that turned out. It's probably only going to wind up being about that tall out of the top. And then I'm going to paint a ring around the outside. So there's that. Our top red crystal, Broussard collector, I don't know, what is this? Is installed. So excellent. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the last little bit of our video today. And it's going to basically be doing the same thing on the back, just not using any power tools. All right, so what we're going to do here, much the same thing. I am going to use my single-bladed nippers over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut off the raised detail. Then, using my 1 millimeter drill bit, we're going to go ahead and drill straight in, making sure that this sits even and that we're drilling on both sides. And there we go. I'm not going to bother to try to fit that in, but let's just, for the sake of demonstration, that fits in there real nice. So that's the end. That's the results of this week's work. Basically, a lot of LED work, some modifications to that, and then puttying, and then, like I said, in between episodes, I'm going to go ahead and go through and get this side light blocked, and then we'll go ahead and get this all puttied up on the inside as well. And I'm going to go ahead and get my little beacon here fixed as well, because for all the measuring and proper things that I do, I still manage to bork it up. Also, as well, waiting for a tool to arrive from Amazon. It is going to be a masking tool, so that I can get my this masking tape, which I need to get to 0.7 millimeters. And I need that so that I can go ahead and get the outside of these Chiller Girls painted as well, because the only thing that you really see for the blue is going to be in between the lines. And so, yeah, very much similar sort of style towards the next gen era, but just a little bit different. With kind of the color scheme. It's basically going to be black over the top, or German gray, something really dark over the top, and then you'll only see the blue lights when we're actually going into warp. So they're not constantly lit all the time, I don't believe. So anyway, there it is, my friends. In between episodes, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and get this puttied and light blocked. And then in the future, basically, this might be the last time that we see the nacelle for a little bit. It's likely the next episode I'm going to go ahead and get into working on the roll bar as we're waiting for parts to arrive. But as we mentioned before the beginning of this episode, there is a new fin that goes along the back of the nacelle, and it has a clear lit up corner marker for its RCS thrusters. So we're going to be getting a little bit more of a detailed and accurate fin here at the back of the nacelle. So that's basically going to be it. There's going to be one more light that I'm either going to tap into, either going to tap into one of these two, so that I can go ahead and feed some light down the end of there, and then we'll discuss kind of like how we're going to handle all the lighting of that. But likely in the next episode, we're going to go ahead and start working on the roll bar, getting all that ready to go and installed. So all the LEDs and photon torpedoes and all that jazz. Go ahead and get that installed so we can get ready for, which might be, the finishing of all the lighting. So that's what I got for you guys today. I just want to say thank you. I know that there was a million things y'all could have done today. Instead, you spent a couple minutes with me watching me build a model, and I think that's pretty damn cool. You guys have any questions or comments, tips, tricks, please leave them down below. Like to support the channel, please like and subscribe. And my friends, until we see each other again, I hope you all have a wonderful day in this beautiful world where we happen to be. And just remember, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one.